Hey guys, my name is Trevor.
I'm Vincent.
And we're from the Anthony and Todd Show. This is our latest review of Sweet Valley's latest project, Eternal Champ 2. Sweet Valley is an electronic music duo from LA consisting of Waves member Nathan Williams and his brother Joel Kinnan
whatever his nickname is.
And they're just kind of like a blood pact, they call themselves, of two brothers that just want to make some great Bermuda Triangle-esque music. That's literally what they say.
Eternal Champ 2 follows Eternal Champ 1, which was a very video game inspired electronic album, which I've never listened to its entirety, but I've listened to bits and pieces here. That I think it's a very punchy electronic sound mixed with a video game inspiration. Yeah. It's not fully video game like landscape or video game ambiance. Let's say it's something like a Grandes Lava, but it has elements of that. It has the synths of a chiptune track, of a 8-bit track, but it doesn't. It's not just fully that. It takes it beyond that. It has punchy electronic production that is completely mind-melting and crazy and out there and manic. I thought the moments I've listened to that were great, and going into this, I think it just kind of follows suit of what I liked from the moments I heard of that. I think it's very punchy. Again, going back, it's very manic. I love the drum beats. I love how the synths are very... I love the very chiptune synths. This is straight NES music. This is like what I love about like old school video game music. I love the very dreamy, very almost otherworldly synths that you hear that put you in that...
They're sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp sounding.
Very, like, it puts you in the space of that video game, whether you're playing like something like a Mega Man game where you feel like you're in this like other world. That's what I love about those synths, and when you apply that to electronic music, when you apply these synths, they work perfectly. Mm-hmm. Moments like Chameleon and Stalker, I think, are great. Falcon, I think, is amazing. I just love the use of synths in this project, but like adding the depth of electronic music to it, making it its own. It's not just strict video game music; it is something else. Adding this punchy, sample-heavy electronics.
Right. This isn't chiptune. This is like very sample-heavy electronic music, which... a completely like different genre. You can have video game influences and inspiration without being chiptune.
Yeah,
I think that's like what this. That's my biggest takeaway from this is like what Eternal Champ 2 is trying to say musically.
Yeah, I just like how it comes together. It comes out to be like around like 30 minutes, and it's a very solid mix of tracks that blend well together. And some complaints I can have is I think the progression is kind of lackluster. And it kind of reminds me of what I kind of disliked about Against All Logic's last album, 2012 to 2017. I think there wasn't enough progression, but I think in the end it ended up working because it was such a hypnotic effect. This album's not as hypnotic, so I can't give it the excuse of it working due to its lack of progression. I think the progression... It kind of like the layout of this track like Chameleon per se. It will do like the A part, and then it'll do the B part, and then it'll do the A part, B part. There's no like verse hook. It's always A B, and it kind of always replicates it until the song's over. I honestly kind of wish a lot of these tracks were just A B track ends. It doesn't replicate itself. It's like I honestly wish this album's like 15 tracks. I wish it was like 20 something tracks in the same way. Shorter. Each track was like a minute something.
Sure.
I think
something
that would
like a John Babb kind of thing.
Yeah, like very short tracks, but the same amount of length. But there's just a lot of them, so it makes up so many
separated more.
Yeah, so there's so many ideas being presented to you, but you don't keep on hearing the same ones over and over again. And I think it just made it to be a better project overall. I think. I love its use of sampling. I even love this use on tracks like I think Falcon is good because it replaces kind of some of the drums earlier with some punch sounds that are straight out like Street Fighter, which I think is great. Like just the able that it's like it goes to the A part and you hear those drums, and the B part switches out those drums for like those sound effects. I think it's great. Mm-hmm. I think that was just
goes off the rails.
Yeah, but like going back to the lack of depth, then it goes back to the A part, and you're like, okay, we just backtrack. Oh, we're going back to the B part. We've heard this already. We've heard this transgression. It's very fun to listen to. This is a very fun listen, but it keeps on repeating a lot of the ideas over and over again, and I just like the repetition ideas. Just I feel like if all these tracks were like a minute something, there was like 20 of them, it would have been perfect. Even if you cut out like repetition on ideas like on this, it would have been like a great EP. That's all I can really say. I love its video game like sampling using synths.
Yeah.
Very chiptune inspired synths. Very punchy drums. I love its use of sound effects. I love its use of sampling. There's moments on this album where you get like a avalanche, just like a wildflower vibe. Just it's because its use of sampling is so good. And I also like the use of the sample of, I believe it's Vince McMahon on the track, And Then You Die. It was just like, some of these tracks like start out so loud with these samples. Like the Vince McMahon one, the track, I believe Falcon, which starts off just very loud with this like vocal sample that is
like bust right in, basically.
Yeah.
Like knocking down a wall to get into a room.
But like it also provides a humor, also provides this kind of like very sudden shock, this surprising moment. Because you kind of go through this like spacey void, you're traveling, and of course you're like traveling back and forth through these ideas, but like these moments kind of provide like the brake pump. You get like, like the jump scare of sorts that I really enjoy. This album kind of ends with Mutt and Junkyard. It's not a terrible closer, but I think it could have been something more. This album really doesn't even have like a solid opener. I think it just
kind of exists in its own void.
It's a very good mix. If we looked at it as a mix, I think it would be fantastic. But since it is an album, it kind of just like
it's rated as an album.
I don't. In the end, like I may give this thing for its like a lack of like progression. And stuff like that, but honestly I thought this was a fun experience and I did enjoy it. I'd much rather listen to something that is very heavily inspired by video game music and will sample video game music and use video game music synths over something like Ground is Lava, which is very ambient and just is in the video game realm. I think this does a lot more with the content and a lot more of the concept than Ground is Lava. Not to say Ground is Lava is bad by any means. I enjoy his music, but like I think this does a lot more with it. In the end, I think it's like an 8.3. I enjoyed this fun experience. Want to go back to it, but it could have used a lot more work, a lot more tuning. Needed a solid end and closer. Needed more solid beginning end, and it could use more progression. I think a lot more tracks would help this out as well.
All right. I think overall I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Because I did find like a lot of really enjoyable parts on this. I love like the video game influence. I think that those are like one of my weak spots. I think in tracks are like I love good sampling. I think that is one of my weak spots. And these guys hit it hard with a lot of it. But I think like as an album, there's no real coherent narrative. There's no real coherent like. Why are these tracks all one after the other? Yeah. If it was a mix, like you said, on a mixtape, I think I could be like a little more forgiving with the way it's laid out. But people like layout is important. Yeah. Especially if you're gonna label your thing as an album, layout is immensely important. That's all I have to say.
Well, but I like this release. I definitely recommend you check it out. I think we both definitely recommend, especially if you're into video game music, if you like chiptune, if you like chip hop, like artists like Mega Ran, or even artists like Ground is Lava, who actually are more electronic. I think this is a fun listen, and it's a great background listen too. It's just nice to have on the background. Not that I listen to it just like analyzing the different sounds and textures that this album has, but it's a great listen. But yeah, if you like us and what we have to say about albums, check out our podcast, The Anthony Touch It. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about dumb stuff like Father John Misty or Danny Brown or some stupid aspects of music, and we meme it up constantly. If you also want to hear reviews about if you want to hear some of our reviews about Arctic Monkeys or Beach House, check out our YouTube channel. We have plenty of reviews on there. But until next time, stay fresh, boyos.
Get some sleep, everybody.
It's late. It's real late hours.